Many of you have seen the video of Rafa speed passing right here at the Hickson Cup a few years back. And, having rolled with him so many times and, sat in so many classes, what's really interesting for me is that this type of passing is so technical that it's very difficult to teach. And in fact, for me, at least, it was very difficult to learn, in the respect that it's not built on a specific move. So I think of passing in two main different ways. And one is this type of speed passing. And the second is like an entanglement passing. Once you're dealing with grips, you're getting grips. This type of passing right here is all no grip passing. As soon as someone gets grips, you've either got to break the grips or deal with a different type of passing. As we go forward with passing, we can really look at it like a flow chart. Do I have grips? Does the opponent have grips? If yes, then you're going to be doing entanglement passing. But if you can start to pass this way before an opponent gets grips, then you can utilize speed passing. And for me, it's taken a long time to really not even learn it, but just to figure out how to learn it. So the four concepts that we're going to cover today in regards to speed passing are posture, parrying, footwork, and striking. Now, if you think about those four concepts, or at least how I think of those four concepts, what's so cool is more than any other aspect of jiu-jitsu, speed passing is like samurai fighting. And I love that for numerous reasons. One, because I love samurai movies. Kurosawa to the death, Star Wars even. But as I've researched the topic of jiu-jitsu over the years for books and articles and podcasts, one theory that's come up, and no one knows for sure, but it's believed that jiu-jitsu was developed by samurai for when they're on the battlefield and would lose their swords. Now, the first speed passing concept that we're going to go over is posture. This is really one of the most important freaking concepts in all of jiu-jitsu and probably all martial arts and sports, which is you have to have perfect posture, or at least as close to it as you can get. But first and foremost, speed passing starts with the feet. And one of the things that I learned from Rafa, one of the details that he was just, and Gi, that they were just so adamant about was staying on the sides and insides of the soles of your feet so that you're dynamic. If you're on your heels, you're not going to be able to move. You're obviously, so the pivot point for passing is from the insides of the feet to the toes up. Now, the second concept for speed passing is parrying. And this is where it really gets like sword fighting. And if you think about it, we can't allow our opponent to get grips. So as we're moving, we've got to constantly be blocking in three different ways. First off, we're blocking with our hands as soon as our opponent reaches to get a grip on our sleeve or on the collar, immediately breaking, right? The second thing that we're blocking is our opponent's legs. So as I am passing, and this to me is the most difficult aspect of speed passing, is developing the eye-hand coordination. And this is where it's not like a move. And this is where it's very difficult to teach in a class, because it's something that I can teach you, or Rafa can teach me, but I've got to go home and practice this. I got to practice this with one of my drilling partners. And that's what I do. Every time I warm up, I'm going through the drills to develop this eye-hand coordination. And so we're blocking the feet. As I'm moving to the side, my opponent is going to kick over a leg to re-guard. I've got to catch that leg. And I can tell you that for me, the more I practice speed passing, the quicker I get. When I roll with Rafa, the moment my leg even comes up an inch, his hand is already there, like a Jedi. So he is already there, but that's not just like some innate thing that he was gifted. Rafa trains and drills relentlessly. Another thing that I like to do is, as I'm using this pummeling, I will make sure that I'm blocking my opponent from entering underneath me. So I'm blocking with my shins as I'm moving. So after a while, you'll start to integrate these things like the movement, where we're moving slowly side to side. We also, at the same time, as we're moving and we're passing, we need to be lifting our legs. So as an opponent grabs to get an ankle for De La Hiva or grab our pant grip, which if someone grabs your pant grip, it's over. You're done with speed passing. So you need to be thinking, seeing peripherally that someone is grabbing for your foot and immediately lifting that foot out of the way. Now, as far as footwork goes, aside from blocking, our goal here is to, if our opponent is directly in front of us, we want to constantly cut an angle. This way, then we go back this way, then we go back this way. We will retreat, but the goal is retreat and then go even farther, So one of the drills that we would do at AOJ sometimes is put your hands on your opponent's knees with his feet on the ground and just cut an angle to almost knee on belly, but where we've got our knee in front of our opponent's thigh. Once we are passing that way, the reason that last drill is so good is because really that is setting up our strike with the sword. We are parrying, disengaging when we find ourselves at a disadvantage. And I tell you what, as far as passing goes, that's one thing that has helped my passing more than anything, is learning to disengage. Engage, disengage. Never trying to go into and through my opponent's guard necessarily. I want to wait until there's an opening, then I want to strike. Because if you think about it, Anderson Silva, like his big thing was flow like water. I think that was even a documentary about him that they called. And, one of the greatest martial artists that ever lived, and jiu-jitsu as far as MMA goes. But, if you think about it, so many of us, we don't flow like water. I know that I didn't for many years, and sometimes I catch myself where I'm still not. And in regards to speed passing, if you're trying to force an angle, you're going to run into a dam, right? And what does water do when it hits a dam? It goes right around it. But instead, we try and go through it. As soon as we try and go through it, we give up our grips. And speed passing, again, is over. So we've got to go side to side to side to side to side to side. And that's why I like that last drill. And the goal of speed passing is really to get to almost a knee on belly position where that knee is right over the belly, because it blocks the shrimp and the regard. And that is our strike. And that is what we're moving towards with all of the pummeling and all of the blocking and the grip fighting. Boom, 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 boom. And you get to that right there. And that allows us to secure either side control in the pass, or knee on belly, or even north-south. Or if our opponent, not wanting to give up the pass, starts to turtle, then we can take the back. Anyhow, those are the 4 concepts of speed passing. This is definitely a system that must be drilled in all of these aspects. And then slowly, it's not going to work for you in sparring right away. But I can tell you, having sparred with the master, who for so long I would be playing guard and I was like, what is he doing that I can't even, like, of course I've rolled with people that just, smoke my guard, but he was doing something completely different. And it took me a while to figure out what it was. And I realized that, 80-90% of it, we all focus on initially the dancing and the footwork, but it's so much of it is the pummeling and the catching of the legs before they can even come up and pose a threat. That's where this whole system works together. These concepts like revolve around each other, like electrons around like a neutron, right? And so after a while, it's all flowing, and we got this system called speed passing.